All right, everybody. So yeah, today we will revise the chapter. So this is chapter number 6 as per our syllabus. And as you asked me to start the journal, so we'll be discussing about the journal entries today's session. But in order to discuss question based on the journal, we will have to first of all understand what is journal. All right, and you should also know the features of the journal. Then there are certain rules on the basis of which journal is maintained or journal entry is done. So you must know those rules. Okay, so let's just start. Let's start with the meaning of the journal only. Okay. So if I need to explain journal is what? Journal is a book. Journal is a book in which transactions are recorded in order in which they entered. That is in the chronological order. So see, journal is basically, this is also called the book of primary entry, of original entry. So all the transactions that place in an enterprise during the year, the first place where a transaction needs to be recorded is the journal. Right. So therefore, journal is also called the book of original entry. And the transaction which is recorded in the journal is recorded in the chronological order. That means in the same sequence as the transaction have occurred. So in order to simplify it, we can say that transactions are recorded date-wise or time-wise.
1 second.
All right. So just a second. All right. So just a second. The journal is a book wherein transactions are recorded in the chronological order. This is also known as the book of original entry, because all the transactions are initially recorded in the journal. If we talk about the journal, the features of the journal, these are few features. Like the transactions recorded in the journal are day-to-day transactions. All the day-to-day transactions are recorded in the journal in the chronological order, and it records both the aspect of a transaction. If like in the previous discussion, in the previous session as well, when we were discussing about the accounting pitch, and I've told you that every transaction have at least two aspects. All right, and we can basically categorize the aspect as the debit aspect and the credit aspect. So all the transactions have two aspects, and both the aspects are reflected in the journal. Then the process of recording a transaction in the journal is called the journalizing. The process of recording transaction in the journal is called journalizing, and the way it is recorded in the journal, that is called journal entry. All right. So any transaction being recorded in the book of journal will be considered as journalizing, and the way we will be recording the transaction in the journal, that is called journal entry. Then journal is a record which shows complete detail of a transaction. That means when the transaction have occurred, when the transaction took place, plus the amount of transaction, from whom the transaction, from whom the goods has been purchased or to whom goods has been sold, everything will be there in the journal. So precisely speaking, we can say that there are four features of the journal. Firstly, it records all the transactions in the chronological order. It considers both the aspect of a transaction. The process of recording the transaction in the journal is called journalizing, and journal shows the complete detail of a particular transaction through the journal entry. Now, this is the format of the journal. This is how we usually prepare journal. We have 5 columns in the journal. First is for the date of transaction, then the detail regarding the transaction. This is the next column, which is particular, is to pass the journal entry. Then there is a ledger folio column, and then the amount of debit and credit need to be recorded in the respective columns. Now, in order to do journal entry, we must know the basic rules of accounting, rules of debit and credit, And as we just covered this in the previous session itself, so I'm sure that everybody is able to recall all the rules. So let me just give you a quick recap of this. While discussing the rules of debit and credit, we have discussed that all the transaction related, all the asset related transaction, if it is causing increase in the asset, need to be debited into the asset account. And if it is causing the reduction in the value of the asset, such transaction need to be credited. In respect of the liability, rule is just opposite, wherein increase in liability need to be credited and decrease in liability need to be debited. In respect of revenue, the rule regarding the revenue and liability is similar. Increase in revenue causes credit in the revenue account, and decrease in revenue leads to the debit in the revenue account. And the rule regarding the capital is also similar to the liability rule. But there is a different rule for the treatment of the expense. If we are making expense account, so if there is increase in the expense, that need to be debited, and decrease in expense need to be credited. The rule regarding the expense is just same as the rule regarding the asset. Okay. Now let's now start with a question. Let's take an example to understand how the journal entry is made. So first transaction is given the question as Ramesh have started a business and introduced capital of rupees 1 lakh. All right. So considering this information, you just need to first of all identify that through this transaction, what are the two areas of business will get affected? Two aspects of the business will get affected. How it is going to affect things in the business. Firstly, the effect of this will be on the cash as well as on the capital, right? When Ramesh have started a business, it is going to increase the amount of cash available in the business, as well as the overall capital into the business will also increase. So cash will increase and capital will also increase. Now you have to basically identify whether cash comes under which category, whether cash is the asset, revenue, capital, liability, or expense. And similarly, you need to identify capital falls under which category of the account as per the modern accounting approach. So as far as the cash is concerned, cash is an asset, right? And capital have the separate category for the capital itself. So if cash increases, what do we do? If cash increases, rule says because cash is an asset, so rule basically says that we need to debit the increase in asset. All right. So increase in asset need to be debited, decrease and increase in capital need to be credited. Keeping that in mind, we can pass the entry now, which will be cash account debit to capital account. Cash account debit to capital account. Understood, everyone? Is this entry clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then take one more example, make it more clear. Purchase furniture for rupees 50,000 paid in cash. Now, first of all, we'll talk about the effect of this transaction. Firstly, because furniture has been purchased, so it will be affecting the furniture and the amount of cash as well. So furniture is definitely going to increase and cash will reduce. And a rule regarding the modern accounting approach is that whenever there is reduction in cash or reduction in asset need to be credited and increase in asset need to be debited. So keeping that in mind, the journal entry will be furniture account debit to cash account. Tell me if this is clear or not.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. And next entry, next example, paid rent of rupees 15,000. Again, talking about the effect, we can see that paying of rent is what? Paying of rent is paying of the expense. And paying it by way of cash, so it is going to affect the amount of cash available in the business as well as it increases the overall expense. Rent is an expense, so expense is increasing by 15,000 and cash is reducing by 15,000. So the journal entry regarding the cash says that whenever cash reduces, we need to credit the cash account. And the rules regarding the expense says whenever expense increases, we need to debit the expense account. So the journal entry for this will be rent account debit to cash account. Done, all of you? Is this clear? All right. Then we have few more examples to understand the concept of journal entry. But I'm sure all of you must understood this, so I can skip this now. Let's move to. Let's talk about the example number 4. Sold goods for rupees 25,000 against check. Can any one of you please tell me the right entry for this particular transaction?
So bank account debit to sales account.
Bank account debit to sales account. That is the right entry. Bank account debit sales account. Tell me the entry for this one. Example number 6. Paid salary 30,000 for the month of December 2016. Salary to cash. Next, interest received 1,000 in cash.
Cash account debit to interest received account.
Good job. Cash account debit to interest received account. Again, next is paid to creditor Sujit rupees 5,000.
Sujit account debit to cash account.
Very good. Well done. Next, receive from debtor Amit 10,000.
Cash account debit to Amit account.
Cash account debit to Amit account. Good job. Okay. Now these are the various transactions for which we need to pass the entries. So I want you to try this question. All of you, Ritika, Vanisha, and Zainab. I'm giving you. I
Yes,
think
sir.
this should not take more than 10 minutes to solve maximum. So I'm waiting for you to finish. I'm giving you 10 minutes. Try to solve it within that time frame.
So done.
Done, everyone else? Done, everybody? Can you confirm?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, could you please tell me the entry for the first transaction? Ritika.
Sir, cash account to capital account.
Cash to capital. Right. Manisha, for the next entry.
So bank account debit to cash account.
Correct. Zainab, next entry. Ritika, tell me the next entry.
Sir, purchases account to cash account.
Purchases to cash. Good. Next entry, Manisha.
So cash account debit to bank account.
Good job. Ritika, next entry.
Krishna account to sales account.
That is right. Manisha, next one.
Purchase account debit to Sham account.
Good. Ritika, next.
Cash account to cash account discount allowed account to Krishna account.
Yes. Okay. Manisha, next entry.
Sham account debit to cash account to discount received account.
Good. Ritika, next entry.
Sales return account to Krishna account.
Sales return account debit. Okay. Manisha, next entry.
Cash account debit to sales account.
Cash to sales. Okay. Next one. Ritika.
Rent account to cash account.
Okay. Then to cash. It was salary to cash. For the April 30 transaction, it should be just a minute. Let me check.
So after N20, you have salary.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I made a mistake. Okay, yeah, you are right. Then you're right. I think I skipped one entry. Anyways, so yeah, all of you did it right. Now let's move to the next one, and let me check if I should give you to try this or not. Yeah, let's do this. So this is kind of comparatively difficult comparing with the previous one. Yeah, please try this question, both of you, Ritika and Manisha, and Zainab as well. I don't know why she's not responding. I'm sure I'm audible to you, Zainab, and I'm sure that you are also trying these questions. And just tell me if you are having any problem solving it. All right. This is for everyone, everybody. If any one of you is having difficulty understanding anything, please let me know. And I want everybody to try this question. Done, Vanisha, Ritika? Or if you are still solving it?
So the last one.
Okay, Ritika, what's your status?
So still doing it.
Two more. Okay.
So done.
Okay. What about everyone else? Done, everybody? Okay, then. So let's start with the solution. So could you please tell me the entry for the first transaction? Vanisha?
Purchase account debit to bank account.
Purchase account debit to bank account. Okay. Next one, Pratika.
Purchases account to cash account.
Purchases to cash account. All right. Tell me the next entry. Tell me the next entry, Vanisha.
So purchases account debit to Amrit account.
Purchase account debit to Amit account. Yeah, that is right. Next entry, Pratika.
Purchases account to cash account.
Purchases to cash. Good. Next entry, Vanisha.
Amrit account debit to purchase return account.
Amrit to purchase return account. Yes, right. Next one, Vanisha.
So bank account debit to sales account.
Bank to sales. Correct. Pratika.
Cash account to sales account.
Good. Cash to sales. Next entry, Vanisha.
Pawan account debit to sales account.
Okay. Pratika. Next one.
Yamini account to sales account.
Yamini to sales. Okay. Next one, Vanisha.
Bhupesh account debit to sales account.
Good job. Next, Pratika.
Bank account to sales account.
bank sales. Okay, next one last one, Isha.
Sales return account, common account.
Okay, so these were the 12 entries that we were supposed to do. Good job, all of you. Well done. So, and I think all of you are already good with the journal entries. Anyways, I have more questions based on the journal, and I want all of you to try these questions as well. So, I think we are already we only have 4 minutes in our section, so we won't be able to continue this in today's session. But yeah, I will be sharing this PowerPoint with you just after the class, and go through this PowerPoint and try solving the questions. These all these journal entries. Okay, and if you find anything difficult, don't forget to ask me in the next session. All right, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Since all of you are good with the journal entries, I'm sure you will be able to cover these on your own by revising through the PowerPoint. So I'll share this PowerPoint with
Sir?
you just after the today's session. Yeah.
Sir, I have one doubt in one transaction. Opened current account by personal check. How do you do that?
Open. Which one is that?
Sir, not in this one, sir.
Okay. All right.
I'm general.
Tell me.
Yeah, general. Opened current account by personal check.
Open current account. Current account is for the business. So it will be bank account debit to capital.
Okay, sir.
I think, yeah, this is the right answer. Okay. So yeah, this is it. I'll be sharing this PowerPoint with you, and I want you to try all these questions. This chapter is little lengthy. You will find various questions in the PowerPoint. I'm not saying that you try this question all at once. Just try solving these question one by one, or whenever you find whenever you are basically whenever you want to revise the chapter. I would like you to at least you do 2 3 questions at a time. All right, you will be finding so many questions there on the basis of the journal. Anyway, so this is it for today's class, Vanisha and Ritika. Thanks for joining in.